Democrat hypocrisy on full display today as Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen joins potential Harris VP pick Governor Josh Shapiro in the battleground state of Pennsylvania to tout the Biden-Harris tax plan and IRS investments. But never forget when she preached about the importance of keeping the financial institutions separate from politics.
Every household making less than $400,000 will not see an increase in their tax bills.
That was not the old piece of sound where she was preaching. That was her regurgitating the garbage promise out of the Biden-Harris administration. Joining us now, former Council of Economic Advisors Chair Kevin Hassett. In that McCain speech that she made, I will point out, Kevin, great to see you as always, she said, when we took office in the depths of the recession brought on by the pandemic, President Biden went big at the time of a national emergency. The economy was growing at more than 4% when they took office, and they blew out to $35 trillion in debt. That's where we stand right now.
You know, I can remember being on with you when I was in the White House, and I don't think you ever felt like I was reciting talking points, right? I mean, but if you look at these people, they're all like calling J.D. Vance weird, and they're all like saying the same things, but they're not using their brains. And so if you look at Janet Yellen, I can't tell you how disappointing it is, because the Treasury itself, their staff says, for example, that about 30% of the corporate tax is borne by workers. So if you raise the corporate tax, their wages go down. They're proposing a big corporate tax increase, and that's going to be borne 30% by her own professional staff, 30% by workers, and she's saying they're not going to pay more taxes. It's just preposterous. And I just don't know, like, where these people find the gumption to go out there and be so partisan, but also to reveal themselves as not using their brains. And I guess, again, I'm very disappointed in Janet. I never expected that she would be this person who's just out there spewing propaganda for the Democrats and ignoring economic science.
Well, it's kind of amazing. I don't even remember the last time I saw a U.S. Treasury Secretary out on the campaign trail so openly campaigning for the president.
Yeah. Yeah, and somebody should ask her when's the last time she talked to the president. Because what I want to know is that these people haven't had a cabinet meeting since last fall. If I'm in the cabinet, part of my responsibility is to make sure that the president is sentient and able to do his job, right? Because you might have to vote him out if he can't. And as far as I know, these people haven't met with him since, like, Thanksgiving. And so if you wonder why the economy is running afoul of economics and inflation is taking off and staying high, it's because these people are just spewing political partisan talking points. They're not actually advocating good policies. And it's very, very sad to see Janet Yellen out there doing this. And politicking like that, campaigning, it's very unbecoming a Treasury Secretary.
Well, allow me to serve up some more politicking for you. I mentioned the U.S. debt, the national debt, surging past $35 trillion for the very first time in the nation's history. And no surprise, here is the White House blaming, you got it, Republicans.
The prior administration increased the debt. Let's not forget what the prior administration did, by a record $8 trillion, and didn't sign a single law to reduce the debt deficit. And that's what we're dealing with right now. And on top of that, you have congressional Republicans that to continue to want to blow up the debt, again, with $5 trillion more in Trump tax cuts. So the president has taken action to try and lower the deficit, and Republicans want to balloon that.
She just said lower the deficit. The Treasury just reported that the U.S. is going to borrow $1.3 trillion more before this year is out. They're running a $2 trillion deficit right now when the economy's growing.
You know, the most astonishing thing is that they're like talking about the Trump tax cuts, but we just heard Janet Yellen say that if you make below $400,000, then you're going to get your tax cut. If you look at where all the cost of the tax cut is, it's in the tax cuts to individuals with incomes below $400,000. And so the big number that they keep using to scare people about the Trump tax cuts, you know, maybe 85 or 90% of that number is what they're proposing, and they just ignore that. Like, the facts are completely irrelevant. And you know, it's astonishing, too, that the White House press press corps that covered for Joe Biden will let her get away with something like that. If I got a number slightly wrong, then I was getting Pinocchios before I got back to my office. And here they're allowing her to sort of say, oh, we're ballooning the deficit with this massive tax cut, and then they're proposing something that's almost the same size. It's just ridiculous.
I want to shift gears here, Kevin. Turns out the country's post-COVID factory boom is taking a huge hit under Biden, with manufacturers laying off employees and cutting production to combat high interest rates and rising operating costs. In the latest jobs report, manufacturing jobs decreased by 8,000 and have only grown by 0.1% since last year. So what's going on here?
Right. Well, it's actually a little bit worse, too, because all of the jobs that are being created in the economy are going to illegal aliens, too, if you look at the BLS data on that. And so the people who are native-born Americans when Joe Biden took office, there are fewer of them working across the whole economy, way more in manufacturing. There are fewer of them working now than were working when he took office. And so the astonishing thing about the Biden administration, though, is that they don't actually have messages based on facts, right? And so they just ignore the bad facts, but they don't have good facts. And I can remember that we had this memo when I was at the Council of Economic Advisors that we sent around to everybody in the White House, and we called them the braggy points, which are just the good things to talk about if you have to talk about the economy. I'm also disappointed that they don't find something substantive to talk about. Instead, they just lie about stuff and make partisan talking points.
It's hard to break that habit, Kevin, when that's all you know, the lying. Kevin Hassett, great to see you.
Thank
you
Kevin.
so much.